From the 915 to H-Town, from the Panhandle Plains to the Valley, and everywhere in between, this is the 50/50 Podcast, powered by the 50/50 Podcast Network. Join me, Hector Cano, as we cover the Texas high school club and college soccer landscape, along with an inside look at the college soccer recruiting scene. The 50/50 Podcast is a platform about the people and for the people who are dedicated to the beautiful game. Here we go. It's another edition of Inside Texas High School Soccer, episode 11, season 6. Man, we are in the home stretch for season 6. I am your host, Coach Hector Cano, along with my lively sidekick, my Mr. Vanna White, as I like to call him, Mr. Papa Socceritis himself, Rafa Casorena. Coach, how are you, buddy?
Little road lagged. I just got in from Del Rio about an hour ago.
Photo finish, man. You got it an hour ago? Is that what it was?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Crazy. How was you got good weather coming in?
No, that bunch of rain and cold weather.
Yeah. The whole I wasn't quite sure if you were gonna get that, how much of it you were gonna get on the way in, but hey, proud to be joined here by our lively sidekick as well, our friend, Mr. Harold Austin. Harry, how are you, buddy? Happy Easter.
Yes,
it is, yes, a special edition, an Easter edition. Want to say to everybody before we forget, happy Easter to everybody. Hope you are having a blessed, safe, and joyous Easter on this very, very, very special day. What's going on, Rafa? How are you?
Not much. Just back from going to Del Rio, go take care of some things with mom and some stuff in the house, and then spend a little day with my brother and then my aunt and so forth. Found some interesting things. I have a cousin that's doing our ancestry.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Supposedly we're 14th cousins with Queen Elizabeth II.
What?
Yes. And then we're related to this.
Right, doing some on the camera production there. Sorry.
Yeah, with Shirley Temple and Simone Bolivar and Marie Antoinette, which is
what is going on?
Yeah. So my cousin my cousin Lulu does a lot of the kind of like our family history stuff. It's
okay.
That was on our kind of our grandmother's side, so I guess we're on my grandfather's side. That should be interesting there.
So what you're telling me is we have royalty here on Inside Texas High School Soccer, I guess, right? It wasn't. You couldn't just have Hollywood to yourself.
I was related to. Here's the crazy part. I'm related to a former president of Mexico. We're also related to Chespirito, which was. I thought that was the most insane part.
That was the one that got you most.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, we are in. Buckle your seatbelt. It is a special royalty edition of Inside Texas High School Soccer. Hey, we got a great show lined up for you today. So a couple of great guests who are going to be joining us tonight. A couple of state finalists joining us tonight who are going for their chance to win their first state titles. So excited about that. Going to talk all kinds of, going to do our state finals preview, right? So we're going to dive into that as well. Going to talk a little bit of soccer realignment, what little we can, since the soccer specific realignment districts have been released. Not too different, and not different really at all in 5A or 6A, but very much so on the 4A side. Harry getting in one more shot. So, all right.
I can ask him. I was like, how's Champions League for next week? Looking for Man City. Oh yeah, I forgot they got eliminated.
So. They got eliminated. Right. So, Hey, I'll give it to Real Madrid though. Falling to if they're gonna lose to somebody, I'm a kind of closet Mallorca fan. So, and you just kind of have the feeling, right, that it's either Champions League or La Liga, like one or the other. If they do great in one, they usually don't do great the following week in the other. So it never fails. So. But that is also a very good Mallorca squad. So, but before we dive into any of our topics today, got great, like I said, great guests, great topics, great segments. Before we do any of that, I want to tell you about our proud partner as we are brought to you. This episode and all of our episodes, all of our content is brought to you by our proud partner and title sponsor, Jeanette Spain at TexasVeteranRealtor.com, the go-to realtor for military and veteran families across Central Texas. With her cover and move I Got Your Six approach, you focus on the move while she handles the contracts, deadlines, and all the details. The details is the key piece that separates her when we talk about as a military veteran, military retiree, right? She has an extensive. She is trained for attention to detail, and that's what separates her. Really, that and her exceptional customer service. That's what separates Texas Veteran Realtor. So you owe it to yourself to look her up. Again, if you want a realtor who works like you and fights for you, then you need to visit TexasVeteranRealtor.com for your free, no pressure strategy session. Again, that's Jeanette Spain at TexasVeteranRealtor.com. All right, man. So, thoughts on before we bring in our first guest? Thoughts on we look back on the week that was regional finals, state semis. It all goes super fast, right? These last couple of weeks. Thoughts on that? What stood out to you? Maybe one or two key results. Something that was, I mean, there was kind of eye opening stuff all over the place. So, I mean, we could do an episode just on that. But thoughts on regional finals, state semis?
I think with the regional finals, there were some surprises. You know, you got to look at El Paso Burgess, what they did. I mean, I think there was no one had them under the basically under the radar the whole year, and no, I kind of expect them maybe win me one, maybe two, but not that the run that they made. So props to them. I think also if you kind of look at here in Region First with Southwest Legacy, I know Southwest was getting all the attention. I think we kind of picked them to go, probably to the final, but they made a run. They got a big win over La Jolla. They're in Laredo, and it's a great win for their program. It's move forward. I know they're going up to 6A next year, but that's a good, you know, you know, kind of notch on their program and so forth. Something to build on. And you got other ones too. Out. Some of the girls teams, Gottlieb. The great run. Um, I think probably the one of the best matchups was that West Plains versus Life Waxahachie. That was
Oh,
a very anticipated game. So
yeah.
lots of great regional final games there.
Yeah. Yeah, and it all culminated with an exceptional state semifinal that played out yesterday out at West Mesquite Stadium or Mesquite ISD Stadium. I forget what it is,
Mhm.
but between both Forney and South Lake Carroll, high end. I mean, just end to end action, right? So, great match. If you haven't seen that, go back. If you can look that up on what is it? I think it was Texan Live NFHS Network on demand. You owe it to yourself. Definitely a match worth going back and watching. But yeah, I think just just a lot of I don't even know where to begin. A lot of you talk about a lot of just I don't know, not craziness, but I mean, it's to be expected at this point, but also still, I mean, just certain things that we did not see coming. I'm right with you. If anybody saw El Paso Burgess, right, taking Wakeland to the limit, uh, exceptional work by them, and not surprised to see an El Paso team, a couple of El Paso teams in the mix. You saw El Paso Americas as well
Mhm.
against Walnut Grove. Yeah, I mean, if anybody told you they had El Paso Burgess there at the start of the year, they would definitely not be telling you the truth. So, any key things, any key trends that stand out to you coming out of the state semis? Maybe you look back to last year going into the state finals.
I think you still have your perennial powers. I mean, like I said, you have like I said, Salina girls. They're going for the thumb. And but then you have some other great programs. Coming up. The Vandergrift girls, they made a run. Like I said, both the boys and the girls made a great run again this year. I know there was some controversy. I know with the Dripping Springs, kind of glad to see them back, back in the scene too. It's a little like I said, controversy on that goal, and I'm sure a lot of people posted that video. But like I said, you also have some newcomers coming in, especially going into next week on that Brookshire Royal. They went toe to toe with, like I
Right.
said, they had a lead with Corpus Christi London. That's another team too. They were down 2-0, and London came back, and then Royal had to hold on with only 9 men, and they took it to PKs, and they were able to prevail. So,
Right.
but how does that affect them? The two red cards. Does that affect them going into the finals,
Right.
or with
Right.
their two key players, or or even role players themselves? How's that going to affect them going into in the state championship next week in Georgetown?
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, I mean, spot on. I think one of the things I wanted to bring on in here just to let everybody know, I mean, this is what we've been through and this is where we are, right? We talk about from wrapping up district play as of essentially really March 16th, technically, but March 17th officially with district certification to from by district. We've gone through all of this in the span of less than 3 weeks. And here we are. We find ourselves on the cusp of the biggest, the biggest stage of our sport here for Texas high school soccer. Excited to do this. Excited for this. This is always one of my favorite episodes. Thoughts on this, Rafa, as we prepare right with these next couple of days. This is something that's different, right? In terms of we're at that stage where we're very much not used to the. We're still adjusting. This is year two of this format with this. You have your state semifinal split from the state final, and you have some extended recovery time, some extended. You can get some prep time. Thoughts on that as we prepare for state coming up.
I think last year, like I said, we kind of went in the unknown, because we're used to being having regional tournaments and then the state tournament. You have a semifinal and then the final. Some teams had to play back to back or a day after or so forth. But this is more, like I said, this is something new. Now you have better preparation for the final. Like I said, more almost a week, 5 days to 7 days, depending when you played. I know
Yeah,
some teams
yeah,
played Thursday. So it's especially I think some of the 4As, they wanted to play a little bit earlier because they know they had to take care of business starting Thursday. So, um, but I think what allows this is to have better games and better preparation, and practice is going to be the key because you really couldn't practice for the final. I mean, it's
right.
I know some teams would do the scouting. If you played first or second, that's how you did your scouting report, and now you kind of have more time to really kind of build a better game plan than waiting
Right.
in
Yeah.
24 hours. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Right. So true. So true. Very true. Very true. All right. It is about that time. We're gonna get ready. Bring in our first guest. But before I do, Rafa, right, get the signature energy drink. Salud there. All right. So, all right, we're going to go ahead. We're going to bring in our first guest, our returning champion, as we often like to call them. Right. He is Coach Michael Goes of the Salado Lady Eagles. Coach, did I get that right?
You did, yeah.
All right. Awesome.
Ghost is right. Yep.
Yeah. Trying to fight it, man. Every ounce of me wants wants to say goose, but no.
Yeah.
Appreciate you being here, Coach.
Thanks
Uh,
for leaving.
yeah. Hey, how are before we dive into talking all things Salado Lady Eagles? How are things? The buzz, getting ready for state, all of this, breaking through. How are things?
Just exciting time. Kind of like you guys have been talking about. Our first opportunity to play in this game, and well, a lot of excitement. We played on Thursday, and so I'm sure the girls are still on a high from Thursday, and they had Friday off, and so we'll kind of get back to work tomorrow.
Yeah. So you mentioned Thursday, right? And if I was just talking about that, what was that? How have you handled that? You literally just mentioned Friday, but how have you managed that from Thursday night's game, Friday, give them the day off to now? How have you managed that?
Just kind of trying to process it a little bit, think about it a little bit, uh, try to kind of come up with a game plan and what we want to work on in practice to kind of prepare for Thursday, just so we're as prepared as possible.
Gotcha. So, I mean, hey, it's been an exceptional season for you, right? 20, 26 4A champion, 28. Did I get that right? I don't think that doesn't sound right to me. Not 26 4A, but I
24.
know. So, right. Yeah. So exceptional, right? Exceptional season, district champ, right? And here's you're now the big prize, right? Is you get the four-time reigning state champion in Salina, who's trying to go for their fifth, as Rafa mentioned a little while ago.
Right.
Um, how do you feel? How do you, in terms of your girls? This is obviously an opponent you're familiar with, right? They're familiar with. How do
Right.
you? What's the message there?
The message is just we prepare to play the best we can and to play our game. This is a game. We lost in the state semifinals the last 2 years, and this is a team and a game that we wanted to be in. We wanted to go up against, and both those years we kind of knew if we did win that semifinal, it was probably going to be Salina, and so. both those years, it was tough losing that game, and we wanted to get that opportunity to play in Georgetown and go up against the best.
Right. So you come in at 27-1, Salina 25-1-1. So I mean, two losses between the both of you. And so what has that been like? Your girls probably don't remember what it's like to lose. It's been a couple of months, right?
Yeah.
The expectations there, the preparation through district play, the start of the playoffs, and to now, right? We're creatures of habit, both as coaches, and we like to keep our athletes in their routine as much as possible. So, what are some of the steps you'll try to take to keep that routine going?
Just kind of having parts of practice will be kind of consistent. We'll still talk about the opponent the same way. We normally do that during the athletic period. And we'll kind of have as much of a normal week as possible. I mean, just prepare. I know there's a lot of excitement, and there's talks of send-offs and all that stuff. So it's all the extra stuff that kind of gets thrown in. But
Right.
I when that stuff comes my way, I try to seek help and let someone else kind of take care of that part, so I can kind of focus on sticking with what we need to work on.
Smart man. Right. Focus on coaching. I like
Yeah.
that. So take us through that, coach, in terms of what you can share, right? The logistics of, because obviously, again, we talk about try to keep them in the routine, try to keep it as normal as possible, but there's no denying that this is not a normal it's not a normal week, right?
Right.
And you don't play till Thursday, so between
Right.
now and then, in terms of the training, but the logistics to get to Georgetown, what does that look like in terms of what you can share?
The training aspect of it, tomorrow we don't have school, so that's a little bit different. We practice at a different time. We'll practice in the morning. The girls like getting there and getting it done early in the morning. In terms of just kind of the logistics, we're maybe 25 minutes from Georgetown, so that makes that part easy. There's not a lot of planning on that part. And so we're lucky there. But the rest of the week will be practice kind of like it normally is on Tuesday. We had a home middle school game, and we'll move that to our grass field just so we kind of keep that consistency, and we have practice same place and same time, and just kind of try to keep it as normal as possible, and just be a little bit more focused in practice, but maybe necessarily not a super strenuous practice, because
Right.
it's going to be a fight.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Now here's the thing, right? Because it's less than 30 minutes away, does that make it a little more tricky as to, hey, when do we leave? When do we want to get there? It's not a, hey, let's plan the night before kind of thing, or super early that day. Does that make it a little more tricky maybe?
In a way, but at the same time, we're the first game, and so
Right.
I know they'll be there and they'll be preparing. So if we get a little overexcited and we get there early, we won't be standing around out in the sun. We can get in the locker room and kind of be as consistent as possible. For most of our games, I'm kind of one of those where I like to be there early, and I don't like to be rushed. I don't like the girls to feel rushed warming up, and with the girls, they have to do their hair and make sure it looks battle ready, and so I try to give them time for that, and make sure we arrive early, and that we're not kind of stressed on time.
Yeah. Yeah, I try to get all my girls to cut their hair like me, like you and I, coach, but they're not
Right.
they're not having it. They're not having it. So, again, we are talking with Coach Michael Goes, the head women's soccer coach of the Salida Lady Eagles, as they prepare for their state final, their state championship matchup versus the reigning state champions, Salina Lady Bobcats, scheduled for Thursday, April 9th at 11 a.m. at Birkelbach Field. They will be the very first match to kick off our championship weekend. So, coach, no pressure there, right? You guys got to kick it off with a bang, right? So yeah, but you're right though. The cool part about that is you're going to start on time. You
Right.
know that you'll get your full warm up, right? You'll get as much time. That's the awesome part about that, right? So, because there's a lot of matches over this next few days that will not start on time.
Right.
You had a chance to look at weather at all?
Yeah, I've had a chance to look at it. It'll be kind of high 70s, low 80s. It should be pretty nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to monitor it closely to see what it's going to look like in terms of us getting some potential big weather, some rain. We'll see. So might fluctuate a little bit, but yeah. But you know how it is. It's Texas, so you really can't trust it unless it's inside of 48 hours.
Yeah,
So,
you're right.
right, Rafa.
Coach, how does the community there in Salado feel about up for this game coming up on Thursday?
Oh, they're excited. I've gotten a lot of texts and emails, and every grandparent, every mom, every dad has been all over social media, just excited about it and sharing and making sure that their whole family knows, and it's just an exciting time.
So, Coach, I got to mention this to you, right? So, Rafa's seen you play. He's been out to y'all's match. I think he's covered like
2 years
probably
in a row.
three, maybe four matches of you guys over the last couple of years, this year and last year. And last year, he got a look at your squad, and then he affectionately nicknamed them a nickname that has stuck with us here. I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but
Damn.
he named them the Blitzkrieg because of
Yeah.
just what a force they are and how they play. So I didn't know if you guys were aware of that or not, or if you guys had a
Oh yeah, I
yeah.
watch you guys every week. I'm full aware of it. I like that nickname.
I love that. I love that. I didn't know you if you were aware. I didn't know if you guys had adopted that. So I wanted to make sure that give Rafa full credit because I mean we've all adopted that one, and that's kind of a mentality in terms of you guys have an identity there, and
Yeah.
it's stuck with us for sure.
Yeah, and I know when I heard that, I felt like, man, that's a tall order. I got to make sure we keep playing the same way.
Yeah, that was the first game I went to. That was last year. And then the goals were coming in bunches, and I told Ted's coach and Coach Steve was like, "Hey, these guys are like the Blitzkrieg. They're scoring goals like crazy and stuff." And then this year, I know you guys kind of took it. Watch you guys against
Yeah.
Smithville, kind of took it easy on there. Then it's like,
Right.
hey, because they asked, "How's the Blitzkrieg going?" Oh, they're taking it a little easy today, but because they're still putting goals on there. They wanted to take their time. So, but like I said,
Yeah.
just a lot of great talent there. Like I said,
Thank
from
you.
this year and last year, like I said, you guys have a really great program there. They're
Yeah.
at Toledo.
Yeah, we got some really great girls. I mean,
Yeah.
they're great people, great players. I mean, really a lot of fun to coach.
And coach, one more additional question here for you. Completely kind of a sidebar here, but because you're in, because you're in 4A, so I got to kind of ask you this one. Thoughts on the recent official soccer realignment that just came out? Because 4A is kind of the big one, right? Where you see a lot of shifting and changes and kind of new teams kind of being plugged in, new schools being plugged in. Any particular thoughts on that?
Well, for ours, so the district we were in, we had 9 teams in our district, and so that's 16 district games. And I mean, we're starting playing district. I think we started the second week in January this year, and so it just makes it tough to really do tournaments. We host a tournament, and so I requested that we have a bye on that Friday that we hosted that tournament. And so we had a big district and not a lot of games that I could schedule outside of the district, outside the 2 tournaments we played in. And so with our district next year, we have 8 teams, so it's one less team, which is nice. And there's a team in there in our new district that didn't play last year. And so I don't know if that'll turn from 8 teams to 7 teams. And so I just like having a smaller district. So it gives me a little bit more of January to, play some of the teams that I would like to play that potentially I might see later on down the line.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Rafa, you got anything else for coach?
Yeah, I noticed on that district you have Burnett in there. So
Mhm.
that's going to be a very great game to watch. Because I know the Burnett girls have done well in their district. Now moving in over to from Region 4 to Region 3. How do you guys feel about them? Being in your district.
I'm excited. Before the last realignment, we were in a district with Stephenville and Brownwood and China Spring, and so we had some pretty good teams in there. And so I feel like we were a little bit more battle tested throughout district, and that's kind of good and bad when you kind of go through a district where you're playing at least half your games that are tough games, you kind of always run the risk of injury a little bit more. And so I've kind of seen both sides where, you like being tested, but at the same time, you also like coming out of district without those injuries. So it's kind of two sides of the coin, I guess.
Right, right. Coach, it is about that time as we start to wrap up. We just got a couple more things for you, but before we do that, want to give you stoppage time, an opportunity to give any shout outs, thank yous, or talk about anything that's on your mind as it relates to our game. The floor is yours.
Well, first, I need to thank my family, my wife, for all the time that they allow me to go through a season that starts at the beginning of December, and so and also the Salado community, the admins, the parents, the girls that I get a chance to coach every day. I really enjoy the town, and I couldn't think of a better place to coach. And I know you guys like to bring up topics that a lot of people have different feelings about, but with the new realignment and getting rid of the regional tournament, and then the state tournament being more of just state finals, I know I'm against a lot of people you brought on, but I miss that regional tournament. I miss having that state tournament. I guess it was 2016 was the first year, or I'm sorry, 2015 was the first year we made it to that regional tournament, and we played all the way down in McAllen, and so 7-8 hour drive roughly getting
Right.
down there. But when I talked to my players that played on that year's team and the 2016 team where we win again, so 2 years back to back going to McAllen, that's their favorite time. They couldn't care less that we had to drive that far. And I know the back-to-back games is rough. I wish we could find a way where we could play a game maybe Thursday night and then another one maybe Saturday morning, so you have a little bit of, you have a day to recover. But I don't know. I just miss those pieces. And I know it's a tough thing to do, but
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, I'm on the record the saying that I know there's a way that UAL can kind of meet in the middle. It's tough, obviously, because they're trying to compress so much in such a tight window. And I think as soccer people, we think about soccer, but the UAL administration has, how crazy the spring sports season is, right? So, yeah, so I mean, that's the other thing that they're trying to balance as well.
yeah.
So I get it, but I feel like the structure is right now. I think it's just a matter of if we could find a way to get to that true state tournament, semifinal, final. But I'll tell you what, though, I do love after what I saw last year. Now here's the one thing, right? Here's the one thing that we have to mention, and I'm curious to see what it looks like on Thursday for 4A, right? Last year's 4A, right? More tickets were sold, attendance was higher last year in this single championship format, right? So they're at Birkelbach. So and day one, the 4A day one, it was amazing. You had almost 10,000 people there. I think about 2/3 of the town of Wimberley was there, right? So
Perhaps.
I mean,
Yeah.
I was like, wow. So so pretty amazing.
No, and I understand. And I don't know if there's a right answer. I just know,
Correct,
it's kind of that nostalgia of what it was like, and then,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, I won't trade it for quality finals, though. I will
Oh,
say that, right?
I
Because
agree.
we see so much, we see so many great semifinals, and then so many finals too, where the legs are dead. So, and I feel from the standpoint of our players, right? I feel for just the recovery. I get that part. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, I
So,
understand.
for sure, for sure. Again, we are talking with Coach Michael Ghost, the head, excuse me, head women's soccer coach of the Salado Lady Eagles, as they prepare for their state final matchup on Thursday, April 9th, versus the reigning state champion Salina Lady Bobcats. Coach, one final question for you. See if you can finish this sentence.
All right.
The 2025-2026 Salado Lady Eagles will be state champions
If we can play our game and we show up and have a good one. I mean, we all know how strong Salina is, so we're going to have a good game that day.
Yeah. Have no doubt we're going to be in store for a great, no better way to probably kick off our state championship weekend, Coach. So, Coach, really appreciate you. Wish you the absolute best. Thank you so
Thanks
much
for
for your
having me.
time. you and wish you and your girls the absolute best. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Take care, Coach. All right, that is Coach Michael Gose of Salado. Keep wanting to say Salady, lady, right? Salado Lady Eagles. Um, good stuff, man. Good stuff. Really appreciate him. Anything stand out to you in terms of what he shared?
I mean, I think the girls are looking forward for this game. I know it's a tough task because, like I said, with the reputation what Salina's had the last 4 years, but they're also a great program too. They're one of the state powers as well.
Yeah.
This is an opportunity, to steal one, and get a state championship. I know the boys got one last year. This year I think I said they want to take advantage of this great opportunity and nowhere to. I mean, to beat a team like that, I mean that it's going to be worth it. So
Tall task, right?
it's a
Tall
tall
task.
task, but hey, they have the talent enough, and as long as they play their game and don't quit and just grind. That's the thing. You just have to find a way. If you find a way, and it may not be pretty, but if you find a way, it's what matters is who's lifting that trophy, and if they can do that, that's
Right.
what it's going to take.
But Coach Ghost has done he's done such an awesome job there in terms of build. This is when you see breakthroughs like this. They're obviously, when we're going to talk about it with our next guest in a minute as well. They're years in the making, right? The development, that build, that momentum, and even last year, right? From last year to this year. And it's not like they had a walk in the park going through on their run here in the state playoffs either. I think, who was it? Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was Bay City, Lumberton,
Yeah.
and Viter as well, if I'm not mistaken. Right, it's all strong quality teams, if I'm not mistaken. I had it here on my run sheet, but I downloaded the wrong one, so that's why I put them in the wrong district. but special thanks to Coach Ghost. But we're gonna move on. We're gonna bring in our next guest. This gentleman is definitely no stranger to the 50-50 podcast or Inside Texas High School Soccer. He is Coach Jason Atkins, the head women's soccer coach of the Smithson Valley Rangers. Coach, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing all right. How are you guys?
Hey, living the dream. Not as great of a dream as you are right now, but hey, we're living the dream.
Well, we try,
Yeah, there you go. All right, Coach. So all the tough questions right out of the gate. Why on earth are you a Manchester United? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No Manchester United questions. I promise you.
Because I'm over 40. If you're over 40, you should be, and you live in America, you should be a Liverpool or United fan.
Exactly. Yes, sir. I'm closer to 50 than 40. So yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with that. So got a lot of Manchester City fans though, right? I don't know where those guys came from. I don't know where
bandwagoners jumping on the train.
Yeah, Manchester City fans that are our age, I might add. So awesome. Well, hey, Coach, thank you for being here. Really appreciate you. What is so same time, same channel. You're making this a habit of being in the mix this time of year, right? State semifinals, your third, I think, in 4 years, and now you officially break through into your first state final. Has any of that really sunk in yet?
No, I don't think so. It's a special time of year. Everybody goes through this process, and hopefully everybody gets a chance to get to a state semifinal or a state final. But no, it hasn't sunk in yet. I'm sure it will tomorrow morning. We get practicing, and we're one of the few teams left in the state that are still getting to do it. So,
yeah, no doubt, and to me, that's always one of the most special pieces, right? Is when you can tell your team that it's like, hey, we're one of so many teams still practicing, right? And when you're playing in mid-April, that's very special. So yeah, no doubt. So take us through that, Coach, the logistics, right, of this week, right? Because it's very different, right? You won't play till Friday. So how do you tackle that in terms of what you can share kind of day by day, the preparation process? I know you and I have spoken a little bit offline, but take us through that.
Monday and Tuesday will be hard for us, a normal training session. And then Wednesday will probably be more of a recovery session. Thursday will be super light because we'll travel on Thursday afternoon as well. So that's kind of our routine. Normally you play on Tuesday, Friday. This week we get a little extra day. So hopefully we can heal up. We have some knocks and some injuries from the last 2 rounds of playoffs. So hopefully we can heal up going into Friday.
Gotcha. So we talk about the season that was through district play, and then of course the start of the playoffs. 28-0, 16-0 in district, and that is That's no slouch of a district, right? You know that. So to do that is pretty amazing. To be sitting here 28-0, going to play on the last day of the season there in 5A. All of that process, I know you're very regimented. You're very, hey, game at a time. But in terms of your seniors who have been through this process a few times now, how do you feel they've handled it? What's different this year from even maybe as great of a season you had last year and those last couple of runs?
Well, I mean, first of all, I think, like you said it, routines are very important to us. And, all year long through the process, we don't ever talk about our record or being undefeated. That's never brought up in any meetings or any speeches or film or any of that. We never talk about it. We just talk about this next game. And this group has really embodied that for the last 4 years. We've got a couple seniors that were on varsity starting or playing when we were in the state tournament 3 years ago. So I think their experience, those two girls are captains for us as well. I think their experience in that road and that transition has boded well for the younger girls to kind of understand, to watch them go through the process, practice every day, our pregame warm-ups and our routines, what we do and how we do it, and making sure those younger ones follow and get in line.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've been banging the drum all year for you, Coach. So I've been telling you, don't make me look bad, right? But one of the things is just for me, right, as somebody who's very much in tune with your program. Of course, I haven't been there for the for the 45 years that you've been there, obviously. But I mean, 25, not 45, 25. Sorry, the Freudian slip there. But what I will say is this: I'm on the record as saying is I feel you've had lots of talent there through the years, but I feel like this might be your most complete team. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're pretty dang good because we're playing for a state championship. But yeah, I think from all three or all four phases, our goalkeeper is great. Our back line is very strong and very talented. We don't give up very many goals. Our midfield is very experienced. We have three central midfielders that have been starters for at least 3 years. So very experienced there. And then obviously up top, we've got girls that can put the ball in the back of the net. And I think, like you said, this is probably the most complete team from front to back that we've had at Smiths Valley. Obviously, you got talent. I'm not taking anything away from our players or our girls. We have talent, but they're good kids. The reason why we're successful is because we have good kids. We have good kids. We have good parents. They get behind the process of how we want to do things, and they all get in line and do it. So,
no doubt, no doubt. Pretty. I'm going to ask the UIL, see if they can add next to your 28-0 record, see if they can add pretty dang good in parentheses there as well. Yes.
Awesome. Coach, you mentioned about your back four. Looking at your kind of the schedule you guys played this season, only 9 goals allowed this year, and then only 1 in the playoffs. How do you feel about that?
It's something we focus on a lot in the preseason. I mean, our continuity, understanding, our connection, our communication between our back line and our goalkeeper, very, very important. And you obviously can't take anything away from our midfielders and our forwards because your forwards are your first defenders if you do it right. So, this group has really grown up all year long. We've got 2 freshmen, freshman goalkeeper, freshman center back starting for us, and then we've got a sophomore and a junior in the back line as well. So some inexperience, and I think our junior captain, Tyler Botcher, has done a great job of making sure they're all on the same page. But yeah, if you don't give up many goals, you're probably going to win more games than you're going to lose. So very happy about that.
Again, we are talking with Coach Jason Atkins, the head women's soccer coach of the Smithson Valley Rangers, as they prepare for their upcoming state title matchup on Friday, April 10th, 11 a.m. versus Walnut Grove. Thoughts on Walnut Grove, Coach, in terms of what you can share, what you've seen, just what immediately stands out to you?
Yeah, we haven't gone through Walnut Grove too much yet. We'll hit that this week as far as watching them on film and getting scouting reports, those kind of things. But obviously they're a phenomenal team because otherwise they wouldn't be at the point they're at right now. They've been ranked high all year long by Max Preps, and everybody's kind of been on the bandwagon with them. So if there's that many people saying they're good, they're probably pretty dang good. So, we expect the best, but I think we're ready for the challenge. I think our girls are from the get-go at the beginning of this year have really circled the wagons, and their goal is to go win a state championship. And now we're here, and now we've got a chance to do it. So. It's more about us focusing on what we do really well, and maybe some weaknesses that we have that we need to fix and correct. We focus more on that than we do the opponent.
Yeah. Yeah, they come in at 23, 2, and 1. Those only two losses, those pair of losses coming in district play to a very exceptionally talented Lucas Lovejoy squad that went down to Wakeland in the regional final, I believe. So, yeah, very interesting. It's going to make for a great final. That'll be the first one of the day on Friday. So kind of like I shared with Coach Goes, right, Coach Atkins, is that at least you know your match will start at a set time. You'll know you'll be able to get in your full warm up. So that's always the good thing. Rafa, you got anything else for Coach?
Coach, how's the Swiss Valley community feel about going for this game coming up on Friday?
Well, it's huge. Obviously our football team has had a lot of success in the 30 years that they've been going around doing it under Coach Hill. Our softball team, our baseball team, obviously us, we've done well as well. So you go to a local restaurant down the street from our high school, and every one of our girls' jerseys numbers are put up on the wall and painted up on the wall. So I think our community is really into our success and backing us, and hopefully we get a good crowd going there. I know it's an early game on Friday. Unfortunately, it'd be a little bit nicer to be at the 6:30 game, but I'll be at that 6:30 game anyway because I get to watch my sons play.
Yeah.
They're there as well, so
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, you beat me to that, man. You stole my thunder there. I was gonna ask you about that. So I mean, you're in for a full day, right? First match, obviously your girls taking on Walnut Grove as we talked about, but your twin boys playing in their senior season in the D2 excuse me, the 5A D2 final for Comel Piper versus Frisco Wakeland. Are you prepared for all of that? That's going to be kind of a roller coaster of emotions, man. Are you prepared for that?
It's been a roller coaster of emotions the whole playoffs. I mean, half the games got to see him play one game. Sorry, down in Corpus in the playoffs. All the other times we've been playing at the same time,
Yeah.
far away from each other. So I'm watching it on my phone or trying to get updates on my phone. So I was watching the PKs after we won. Got to watch the PKs where they won in the state semifinals. So that's really exciting. This one I get to see live, but I'm excited. I don't know how many times that's happened in history, but that's pretty cool.
That's pretty awesome. That's very cool. So, I mean, Coach, if knock on wood, don't want to jinx you in any way, but I mean, if you all take care of business at 11 a.m. and then your boys win it at the end of the day, I mean that's a potential walk off, man. Are you ready to just ride into the sunset? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah,
man?
I'll just retire. I'll retire right after the game's over. I'll tell my AD, as soon as that happens, I'm done. No, I'm not that kind of person, but yeah, it would be a really really great way to send off this year for myself, obviously for my players, my program, my girls,
Right.
and my sons as well. That would be absolutely phenomenal. Who could write that story, right? So
Yeah, that's awesome. It's already an awesome story, but it has the potential to get even more awesome, right? Again, we were talking with Coach Jason Atkins, the head women's soccer coach of the Smithson Valley Rangers. Coach, so I guess the question I have kind of a little bit, we've talked about it a little bit at times, but never really directly. So I'll ask you here. Was there a moment, right? Was there a particular moment where you internally maybe didn't share it with the girls, but was there a moment where it kind of really hit you that, hey, this squad is different. This squad could be extra special on top of the many special squads I've had through the years. Do you recall, was there a particular moment where that kind of thought really entered your mind?
Yeah, I think, you mentioned earlier how tough our district is. If you look at our district from top to bottom, you could arguably put the top 6 in our district and the top 10 in the region. And I really believe that. And it shows. You see us playing New Braunfels in the regional final on one side and Piper playing Cedar Park on the other side. And Alma Heights gave Cedar Park everything they could take in that first round and lost 1-0. But yeah, I think about halfway through district when we had to play all the top 5 teams besides us in a row, and we won all 5 of those games. I think after that 5th win, it was kind of like, okay, maybe this group is going to be the group that makes a true breakthrough and goes and wins a state title. So they're really exciting. It's one of those where I couldn't put my thumb on the exact moment, but yeah, that into the first round of district, I'm kind of like, this group's going to be special.
Yeah, yeah, and I think for me, right, because you've been whatever district you've been through the years, you've been pretty dominant, right? No matter the district, right, for the last several years. So it wasn't that you were winning those matches. For me, as we were watching those scores come in, it was how you guys were winning. I think that's what was eye opening, in my opinion. But I think it was not just the score lines, but how you guys were winning. Very dominant, very dominant. So 28-0, man, you got a chance to already make all kinds of San Antonio area history. So that's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
I think we broke our own record.
Yeah,
It was the most wins in a row or whatever. I
right,
think
right.
we had that 3 years ago, and then
Yeah,
we lost. Unfortunately.
that's what I say. Knock on wood. Knock on wood.
Yeah, hopefully we win this one. But yeah, I think we broke our own record. That's pretty special as well. It's just a testament to. I've said this several times in interviews. It's not just the girls this year. I mean,
Right.
obviously the girls this year deserve everything they get because they've earned it. But it's the 25 years or 24 years of girls that have laid the foundation of what we want to do and how we want to do it. It's a testament to them as well. So I'm just excited to be part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and what you had to overcome, right, in the state semifinal, slaying the reigning state champion, right, in A&M Consolidated, right, and getting a little bit of revenge there in the process. So, all right, Coach, here's that moment, right? We have stoppage time. So, any shout outs, thank yous, anything that's on your mind as it relates to our game, the floor is yours.
Just a couple of things, like obviously, like I said, to all the Ranger fans, to all the girls that have been in the program for 25 years, building up to this, to the girls obviously that are playing in the state championship game. They put in the work. They deserve it. They've earned it. Obviously, my kids, my sons, my wife. She has to put up with me all year long. She's a very special person. So shout out to them.
No doubt, no doubt. Whenever I see her, she definitely gets a drink of her choice, right? So just like my wife, I get it, Coach, because we're no walks in the park.
No, no, I'm not.
I get it. So again, we're talking with Coach Jason Adkins of the Smithson Valley Rangers. Coach, final question. I asked Coach Go, so I'll ask you as well. Finish this sentence for me. The Smithson Valley Rangers, 2025, 2026, Smithson Valley Rangers will win the state title
If they just believe in themselves, if we just stay composed, believe in ourselves, believe in our routines and how we want to play, I think we're going to be just fine. We're going to be successful.
Awesome. Great stuff. Coach, always appreciate you. I mean, I think you might be in gold jacket contention now, man. What is this, like your fifth time maybe on here? Fourth, fifth time? I'm trying to think what's
Yeah.
fourth or fifth. Yeah. So you might be in gold jacket contention, man. So, but hey, either way, really appreciate you. Thank you for always being accessible, always being a supporter of what we're doing. And then of course, always being a supporter, you and I talking back and forth as fellow coaches in the same ISD as well. So wishing you the absolute best, wishing your girls the absolute best, and hoping you guys can maybe go get it done this year.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Thank you as well, guys, for having me on. I appreciate it. What y'all are doing is phenomenal for the San Antonio community, not just San Antonio, but the state of Texas. Not a lot of people can dedicate themselves to doing something like this and keep it going, and y'all done a phenomenal job. I really appreciate y'all having me on.
Appreciate you, Coach. Thank you so much, and best of luck, man.
Yes, sir.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you.
All right, Coach Jason Adkins of Smithson Valley. Thoughts?
Just like I said, a well-established program, and like
Yeah.
I said, I've had them in my power rankings pretty much all year long, and then my power rankings have been my top team for San Antonio.
It took me to tell you to start bumping them up, man. You were just like you had them way too low. They're way too early.
The thing is, they started getting some wins and wins and wins. And those, I mean, some convincing wins too. But the thing is, what I'm impressed is that defense. When you only allow 9 goals in those 28 games
with a freshman, I don't think a lot of people know that, with a freshman goalkeeper too.
Yeah, and that's a lot of pressure, especially who hasn't really when as a freshman keeper, you're not used to that game speed yet. But she's probably like a phenom back there, and like I said, the shutout, the defending state champions is like I said, that's a kind of a feather in the hat right there. Like she can look, even from here on out. Just to say that, hey, I shut them out. So, but like I said, it's great. What they've done for the program. Like I said, they don't rebuild. They just reload every year. Every year,
Mhm.
there's always the next person up. So
Yeah,
that's the model of the program that you want to have,
yeah,
year in and year out.
yeah. For as many years as I've known Coach Atkins and talking to him about his next squad the following year, and then of course when my daughter, I mean, it was no secret, my daughter almost went to school there. Could have been playing for him. Would have been playing for him. But every year when I would ask him, "Hey, how are you looking for next year?" It was always the same. Yeah, I don't know, man. We might be in a rebuild, or I don't. I was like, dude, come on now. But he's got, excuse me. But he's just got, why I have so much tremendous respect for him is as a professional, as a coach, is how they go about their business. Just, very, very professional, very just the culture is just, it's a machine, right? In terms of, because we talk about how as long as he's been there, 24, 25 years, and what he's been able to establish there, how he's been able to establish that. Obviously, they're quote unquote pretty dang good, to quote him, right? They have talent, obviously, but it's how they go about it as well, and just how they compete, how they handle themselves on and off the field. I have just tremendous respect. Just an absolute machine, man. I'm happy for him. Glad to see him here on the biggest stage, and because I know, as he said, this is years and years and years in the making, right? And they've been knocking on the door for a while now. So definitely happy for him. Definitely excited for him and his girls, and definitely wish them the best of the luck because they're going to need it against exceptional opponent in Walnut Grove. So best of luck, coach. And of course, obviously, got to wish Walnut Grove good luck as well. The best of luck. So big thing is we want to see a tremendous state final, right? That's what we all want to see. So again, excuse me, that will be Smithson Valley versus Prosper Walnut Grove on Friday, April 10th, 11 a.m., 5A girls D1 final. That will be the first matchup of the day. So, all right, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back shortly. We got a lot more to cover, but first we got to get in a quick word from our partners. We'll be right back. In the market for a new home, or maybe you'd just like to get more information? Then let us tell you about our new proud partner and title sponsor, Jeanette Spain at TexasVeteranRealtor.com, your go-to realtor for military and veteran families in Central Texas. With her cover and move I've got your six approach, you focus on the move while she handles the contracts, the deadlines, and even the details. Want a realtor who works like you and fights for you? Then you need to visit Jeanette Spain at TexasVeteranRealtor.com for your free no-pressure strategy session. Again, that's Jeanette Spain at TexasVeteranRealtor.com, as well as at 737-210-5812. And then there are our great friends at Gipper. Gipper is a way that schools, athletic departments, ADs, and coaches create world-class marketing content. Join over 4,000 coaches and ADs and use Gipper to create high-quality, visual branded graphics for your program. The best part, anyone can do it in seconds on any device without needing any design experience whatsoever. If you do have significant experience in this process, then this is designed for you as well, as you are what they call the power user. Listeners of the 50/50 podcast can now receive 10% off any first-time Gipper purchase. Simply visit gipper.com/partner/5050 to learn more. Again, that's gipper.com/partner/5050 to learn more. All right, we are back with episode 11 of Inside Texas High School Soccer. Special thanks to both of our guests, our coaches, Coach Ghost of Salado, as well as Coach Atkins of Smithson Valley. Very great interviews. Really appreciate you, coaches. Thank you so much. And again, wish you the absolute best. Rafa, we asked the coaches a little bit about, well, at least maybe more so Coach Ghost, but soccer realignment stuff. Anything kind of stand out to you? I know we talked about it a good bit on our chat, right? But you've had a little bit of time to look at it. You had a little bit of time to digest it. Anything kind of after a few days kind of stand out to you?
I think pretty much like 5A and 6A is what you see, what you get from the volleyball, basketball. I think it was pretty much predictable. Like it's kind of like I said, where we're going to see. The 4A is the one that caught us by surprise. There were some changes, especially like in Region 4. There's no more Austin area teams. They got bumped up to Region 3. I know Coach Ghost mentioned about his district that they had some changes too now that because I mentioned like they have really good program in Burnett that's going to be in there. Like I said, it's made that Region 3 even more stacked because, like I said, he mentioned about like Lumberton and like I said, Bay City has been a great program. You've had Huff and Gargrave and so forth. I think even out west, you know, we also saw some new teams. There's some new programs coming up, and now that comes a question further down the road: is 3A soccer going to happen? Like if you look at District 3, um, surprises Fort Stockton High School has a soccer program. They have a new program. Um, so here in our backyard, Medina
And people
Valley,
people forget Van Horn. People forget
Van,
about Van Horn.
yeah, you know, because I think they have a soccer field. I don't think they're in the
Yeah, I think that's what they're building towards is
yeah
they
they're
have a
both towards
field and they host out there. So that's the thing. That's coming. I think
yeah
that's coming. Yeah.
yeah I think and here's the thing with them with 4A soccer, you know they always update it, so we don't know who else is going to be adding a team, you know by the end of the academic school year or into the summer. Because like I said, I saw like Divine High School, which is like I said, they're adding a team. Mathis, Texas is adding a team because I know the guys from shout out to them, the guys from Ingleside. They posted how about the new district they're going to be in. Um, some of the teams in Coach Goza's old district, they got lumped in with some other teams that we had some of the backyard, like Yoka and Smithville Luling are together. Gonzalez got moved from Region 4 to Region 3. So it's interesting, some of the, like I said, the changes with this. And I anticipate we're going to see more coming up. I think by the end of May, who else is going to be adding a program? And like I said, is that going to lead to the development of a 3A soccer program? Like I said, like this year, I went to go see Centerpoint High School, which had a varsity team for boys and girls. They're not listed on there in the district, but
Right.
are there on the right now in the works of adding, and more likely they'll probably be in that District 25, which that's become now the if you look at it, it's like the group of death.
Right.
you
Yeah.
know, I know we had the group of, I forgot to mention Coach Atkins about his, the current district he's in. We kind of nicknamed it the group of death. But now here in 4A, coming up, 2027. I mean, you have Canyon Lake and Davenport, and then now
Right.
you have a really good Kerrville Tivy program, Lago Vista, Marble Falls,
Yeah.
Wimberley. I mean, that's
To see Kerrville Tivy now as a
mhm,
4A, it's that's an adjustment, right? I just that's definitely an adjustment. But yeah, I think now I guess that's the question, right? Is if we see a 3A, then that further cements how much further away we are from 7A. So
mhm,
I don't think we're so I think our crucial point, our pivot point comes in 2030. So another 2 cycles away. By then, are we going the 7A route or are we holding and now adding 3A? So I think that is the question. I don't know. I just don't think there's enough schools there yet
mhm.
at 4A that are playing, even sub 4As that are playing 4A. So I I think we see probably a 7A before a 3A going the other direction, which in theory 4A would then become the de facto 3A, right? Uh,
Mhm.
so going off of this current model that we're in, once we have if and when we have a 7A, but
Yeah. Or the third option could be D1, D2 districts, kind of what they
mm,
have already for football. So
yeah,
that could
yeah, that's true. That's true.
end up, and I think if if 3 doesn't happen, I think that has a better possibility of occurring having a D1, D2, because the biggest complaint we hear every year for the playoffs is like, hey, we're playing a D1 team that in the D2 bracket, but they have a
Right,
D1
right, right.
population. So I think maybe that I think the UIL probably go to with that first before they even create I guess a 3A or a 7A. I think that's
Gotcha.
probably going to
Yeah,
be the
yeah,
best route.
yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, it is, Coach. It is about that time. We're going to go ahead and get us going here on our state finals preview. Again, this is where we left off earlier. So, as our state finals await us April 9th through the 11th in Georgetown, Thursday through Saturday, April 9th through the 11th. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to look here, going to jump right in. Our girls 4A Division One state championship slated for Thursday, April 9th, 11 a.m. Our very first match, Salina comes in, the four-time reigning state champion, going for their number 5. All have already made state history, going for their 5th one. They come in at 25-1-1 versus the Salado Lady Eagles and Coach Michael Gose's squad coming in at a mighty 27-1. Thoughts, Coach?
I mean, what a way to start I guess the 3 days of the state finals. Like I said, you start with a banger here. Two great programs. Like I said, Salina's going for number 5. Salido's trying to go get their first one. It's going to be a battle. The last few years, like I said, Salina's had a kind of battle through to win some of those state titles. They haven't really kind of. I think the last time is when they played, I think Stephenville, where they kind of routed them. But they've been in some close ones. I know last year Davenport took them.
Yeah, they have. Yeah.
Took them to to the limit. So I think if Salado plays their game, and what I've seen, like I said, firsthand, they're talented enough to do it if they can set the pace, and they even get a goal early and to build some confidence. Like I said, they have a good shot, but like I said, it's going to be a tough one. Like I said, I know Salina's going to be pumped up. They want to get that 5th one, and before they go on to 5A and cause some havoc over there.
Right.
But it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be just a great start for the for the tournament, for the 3-day tournament.
Yeah. And I feel this one here, it's tough to say. You look at Salina and how they played an exceptional Waxahachie Life squad in their state semifinal, and there were times where they were dominant, and then Life kind of came back into it, and then Salina just ultimately was Salina, pulled away, right? So that will be the interest. So I look at this as in 2 phases, right? Maybe the first 20 minutes and how fast either one of these squads can come out, and then the final 20 minutes. Does Salado have enough to keep up with and not let Salina maybe potentially pull away in those final 20 minutes? So really those first 20 and those last 20, and I think we'll have a better idea, probably definitely obviously at halftime, but we'll have a really good idea as we're going into those final 20 minutes and then what happens there. So but yeah, that is again our girls 4A Division 1 final slated for Thursday, April 9th, our first match of the day. So again, this is day 1 that we're talking about here. So all 4A matches, this will be for sure. This is the one that we know that will start on time at 11 a.m. So, all right, we look at our next one. So our boys 4A match number 2, boys 4A Division 1 matchup here. Let me expand this guy here. So, all right, so we have out of Region 1, Lake Dallas, who comes in at a interesting record, right? 11-6-6 versus out of Region 3, Waco La Vega coming in at 26-2. A Waco La Vega squad that has been an eye opener for a lot of people. Thoughts, Coach?
Yeah, this well, you got 2 first timers here. Remember
Right.
last year we had a lot of first time champions, and this is going to be the case here for D1 boys for 4A. Waco La Vega's had a great season. Like I said, I've had them in my power rankings. Beat a really good Navasota team, and for them to get to here, I think they're, like I said, they got to be the favorite. But you can't look past what Lake Dallas did. They've knocked off Palestine, and Palestine, like I said, they've had the history of getting to these games in the past. So both teams are going to be pumped up. But like I said, it's gonna be a fun one. I know, like I said, Las Vegas probably have the slight edge, but I think this game's gonna go toe to toe, and we'll see. Someone will be lifting their first ever state title for the program.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, right? That was the big trend. Not quite as crazy, I think, as last year in terms of the teams, but still a significant number of first timers, which is always awesome to watch. So we know, as you mentioned, Coach, we will have a first-time state champion in this one for sure. Again, that is game number 2 on match day 1. Lake Dallas and Waco La Vega slated for Thursday, April 9th, 1:30 p.m. So, all right, we move on to our third match of Thursday. It is the girls 4A Division 2 matchup versus out of Region 2 Sunnyvale versus out of Region 4 Wimberley, who returns to state once again. So Sunnyvale comes in at 24-3-1 Wimberley coming in at 24-2-1. Thoughts, Coach?
This will be another great game. The difference here is Wimberley's been here, and like I said, last year they came up short. They lost PKs to Canyon Randall, and I'm sure that's still in the back of their head. Losing that, to lose the final in PKs. I'm sure they're well prepared and ready to go. That they want to take care of business here in regulation, and then you got a surprise team in Sunnyvale first time getting to the to this point, and like I said, Wimberley's going to have their hands full in this game. But like I said, I'll give the slight edge to Wimberley because they've been here. Like I said, they got to the final last year. They know the hurt they had, losing in the PKs, and Sunnyvale hasn't had that experience yet. But like I said, it's gonna be an exciting game. But also here too, it could be a first timers
Yeah.
who are lifting the trophy as well.
Right. Yeah, and it'll be interesting, right? We talk about Wimberley has kind of quietly been, just seems like a squad that has been very much a team on a mission, right? We've talked about, we cited earlier the incredibly tough district that they play in. And so we have Sooner D in here talking about Lumberton boys suffered a season-ending injury for their returning All-State defender. I always hate to see that, but yeah, so still big kudos to, hate to hear that, but yeah, just definitely big kudos to Wait. Nevertheless, takes nothing away from Waco La Vega. But yeah, I mean, I'm leaning in this one, Wimberley, right? I'm kind of curious to see. I'd love to see if the entire town of Wimberley shows up this time in Georgetown, where it was like 2/3 of the town last year. So, but yeah, I think Coach Eric Nichols has them on a mission. They've got a lot of firepower, and I think we're in store for a great final here. So we'll see what happens here. So, all right, that does it for match number 3, and then our final match number 4 of our first day of Thursdays, our boys 4A Division II final, out of Region 1, Bridgeport versus out of Region 3, Brookshire Royal. Bridgeport comes in at 21-3 on the year, whereas Royal comes in 28-1-1. This match is slated for, again, Thursday, April 9th, 6:30, approximately. Of course, after the first one, we mentioned all of these are approximate. This match is slated for approximately 6:30 p.m. Thoughts on this one, Coach?
I think this one could be the sleeper game of all 3 days. I honestly think
Really?
this is going to be,
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think this one could be. I mean, you got two very hot teams going into this. Look what Bridgeport's done. They've had a great come out of Region 1. And they're exciting to watch. And then in Brookshire Royal, like I said, finally they cracked into my power rankings, and they've had a great season. They've been kind of knocking on the door, building up to this point, and this has been the breakout year. And some adversity too. They were down 2 players against Corpus Christi in London, and
Right.
they were able to win it in penalty kicks and so forth. And now how's that affect this game? That we'll see. But I'm sure, like I said, I think both teams are, like I said, are probably deep enough to kind of replace that. But I think this could be a fun one, and I wouldn't be surprised this one goes to extra time. I think it's going to be a back and forth game.
So you're putting it all on this one, right? You think this is going to be the match of the weekend?
This could be the sleeper one. I think this one could be the one because
Right.
you got 2 first timers but I think I said these are the 2. I think 2 of the for 4A boys.
Yeah.
I think these are the 2 hottest team. One of the 2 hottest
Yeah,
teams.
no doubt. Royal has been on another level, and Bridgeport, I feel like one of the squads that not just us, but across the state has not been talked about enough, right? So, yeah, I think this for sure, I think has the potential to provide fireworks. Definitely a great way to end match day 1 on Thursday, April 9th. So looking forward to that. All right, so we move on. So that does it for 4A. We're going to move on, and we'll look at start of day 2. All right, and which is the 5A day. So starting with girls 5A Division I state championship between both Walnut Grove and out of Region 2, Prosper Walnut Grove, and out of Region 4, Comel Smithson Valley, slated for Friday, April 10th, 11 a.m. Central Time. And Walnut Grove, again, comes in, we mentioned that earlier, comes in at 23-2-1. Those 2 losses coming to the same opponent in Lucas Lovejoy. And Smithson Valley comes in at the undefeated mark, unblemished at 28-0, no draws. Thoughts on this one, Coach?
This is another game to start start off on Friday, and I think they're gonna go toe to toe. I think the key is I know this is full time. I know they're kind of quote first timers in the final, but like I said, Spencer Valley's been here in the past as far as the atmosphere there in Georgetown, and I think that and coach mentioned about having those two, freshmen playing now as seniors, that were into the that got to Georgetown a few years ago. Like I said, I think that's going to be the key there. They've been there, done that. They know what to expect, the routines and so forth. This is kind of new territory for Walnut Grove. I'm saying that they don't have the talent to win it, like I said, but I think you got to give the edge here to Spencer Valley. But it's going to be a real close game.
Yeah, I mean Walnut Grove. We knew that early, right? And I told you that coming out of Georgetown, right out of the Governor's Cup, is like Walnut Grove is different, right? They're for real. They put up some incredible early season results. Saw them go toe to toe with South Lake Carroll, and now so not shocked to see them here one bit. Either of these squads, Smith and Valley. We talked about it pretty extensively already with Coach Atkins. So what transpires here will be interesting because I feel this is going to be kind of a tug of war here, back and forth. And then we talk about styles making matchups, styles making fights, and I think this has a potential to just be an absolute thriller right out of the gate. Hoping we get good weather for this. Keeping my fingers crossed on this. But Walnut Grove, Smith Valley, first match of the day on Friday, April 10th. All right, we move on to our second match of the day, our boys 5A Division I state championship. Walnut Grove, so all the fans just get to stay there, right? They don't move, right? So out of Region 2, Walnut Grove versus out of Region 3, College Station. This one's slated for Friday, April 10th, 1:30 p.m. Walnut Grove boys come in at an incredible 30-0 mark versus College Station 16-7-4. College Station squad that kind of found their way down the stretch, second round of district play, and then really kind of came of age and got hot at the right, when you talk about a sleeper, maybe, got hot at the right time. And here they come in at 16-7-4. Thoughts on this one, Coach?
I think is the moment for college going to be too big, getting to this spot, because Walnut Grove's been there. They won it last year. Even though Walnut Grove had some adversity going into this game, they had to kind of survive some games. Even in the beginning of the by district, they had to survive that game. But I think what we talked about at the start of this season, they were one of our favorites to repeat, and here they are. This is their opportunity to go also undefeated as well. Like I said, the pressure is really, like I said, it is on Walnut Grove. I think College Station is a prime here to say, hey, what do we have to lose here? Let's throw everything at them and see what happens, but this should be, like I said, this should be a fun and exciting game. Walnut Grove's going to have the edge, but like I said, College Station, like I said, as long as they go in with the mindset that hits us against the world, and what do they have to lose? I don't think anyone's expecting them to win this. Crazier things can happen because I've seen a game that like this before, back in 04. So
yeah, and you're right. I think zero pressure on College State. All the pressure here is on the reigning state champion, right, in Walnut Grove. So going for the repeat, going for the perfect season. A team that has been. We talked about the RPI as well. They've just been from. Can they bookend to bookend, start to finish as the number one in the RPI, right? Your final RPI when that time comes. But now I will say this, they've been elite all year, but down the stretch, these last couple of games, it's never easy in the playoffs, no matter how good you are, no matter what your record is. But they've looked a little vulnerable in moments, right? Which is something we couldn't say throughout the year, right? So can College Station capitalize on that? I think if College Station can weather the early storm, I think we could be in store for a great final here. So again, that is the boys 5A D1. We transition here to our next match here, which is the girls 5A Division II state final. Out of Region 1, Grapevine versus out of Region 3, Lake Creek, Montgomery Lake Creek, slated for Friday, April 10th, 4 p.m. Central Time. Grapevine comes in. The mighty Grapevine breaks through. All right, back in the state final. making it. They come in at 18-5-6 versus Montgomery Lake Creek, who comes in at 17-6-2. These are two teams that punch well above their weight, and two teams that are way, way, way better than their record. Thoughts, Coach?
Yeah, both teams play very hard non-district games, and that's because they expect to be this far. The only difference is Lake Creek's a much newer program compared to Grapevine, who's been there, done that, have won state in the past, so they have that experience, maybe kind of the edge for them on this. But it's going to be, like I said, a toe-to-toe. You got your Houston versus Dallas matchup here, and um, can Lake Creek win the first ever title, or is it, like I said, Grapevine, they had a great run last year. They had a bad, they didn't have the best record, but like I said, I kind of believe in them last year, and they made that run, and kind of a little fell short. But now they're here, and like I said, all that hard work has kind of paid off. And can they finish it off and win and finally and win another trophy? For the program. So, but
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be a tough game. But like I said, the edge does go to Grapevine, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised at Lake Creek. If they can play their game, they can, like I said, they can pull it off.
Yeah. There's certain programs that you just don't bet against. and I feel like nothing against Lake Creek at all, right? They're the upstarts, they're the young program, and to see them here is phenomenal, right? But I feel like I'm just not going against Grapevine. There's no way. I have to see it, right? Which means, and Lake Creek is capable of it, but I have to see it because I just know, it's just great. This program is just, they're tinkering on Kukui status, right? A little bit, but they're fun to watch. They're so well trained, so well coached, and they're just, you talk about a sense of belief, the spirit of this program, right? Beyond just this team this year, the spirit, but you talk about the spirit of this program is pretty awesome, pretty phenomenal. So, and that does it for our 5A Division II matchup here. We move on to our next one here. So what should be our final match of the day, out of Region 2, Frisco Wakeland versus out of Region 4, Comel Piper. This one's slated for Friday, April 10th, 6:30 p.m. El Cucuy comes in at 26-1-1, and Piper making their first ever trip to a state final. This has been a special Piper squad who has been very dominant, lost, I think, one match in 3 years, in their 3 years of varsity play. That's saying something, right? Here they are. They've arrived. They come in at 22-5. This is going to be, I think, a phenomenal way to end day 2. Thoughts, Coach?
Yeah, this is gonna be a fun game here to watch. Like I said, Wakeland, like I said, El Cucuy, they're back at it again. I think this is I think they're their 5th or 6th final in the last 7-8 years or somewhere
Yeah,
around that.
this is their are attempting to win their 6th state title here.
So that says a lot there. I mean, they set the bar high. They're each year they're expected to be here at this game and win the state title. Piper, like I said, great season for them. I know last year, like I said, they were in the Division I route. They fell short to the Southwest, and I was at that game, and they had them on the ropes. And like I said, one little kind of momentum change kind of changed that. And like I said, they got eliminated. Now here they're in the Division II. They've had some great wins. Getting to this point, like I said, a shootout win over Austin Lassa. I think they're focused, and kind of in the same scenario. Piper, no pressure on them because, like I said, they're going against Wakeland, and Wakeland has to deliver in this year. They've kind of fallen. They fell short last year. They deliver this year? And Piper, like I said, just go in there, play where everything you got with nothing to lose, and you never know. And if something goes your way, and like I said, maybe the weather comes in a factor. That's the thing with their weather could be a factor too. Hopefully it's not. But like I said, we've seen some games that the weather does kind of change some things up, and you never know. Like I said, but it should be a fun one. I think this will be a lot high octane type of game, fast pace, great technical play. Could be a high scoring too. Like I said,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's a high scoring game.
Yeah, and you hit on a piece there, right, that we've mentioned a few times now, is obviously tracking the weather closely, hoping that it cooperates, because we definitely want to see these programs, you're right, at at the top of their form as they play for the state, the respective chances to win state titles. So hoping that the weather cooperates, no doubt. So that does it for 5A. Does it for day two, our 5A day, and then we move on to the final day, our 6A day, starting with our girls 6A Division 1 match day 3 here out of Region 1, Keller versus out of Region 4, Round Rock, slated for Saturday, April 11th, 11 a.m., our first match of the day. Keller coming in, breaking through into their first final, state final, 22-4-1, and Round Rock likewise breaking through into their first state final, 21-2-4. So we know we'll have a first timer here. I think this one has the makings to be special, Coach. Thoughts?
Yeah, you get two dynamite programs here that kind of been knocking at the door for a while. And Keller, like I said, took care of business, knocking off South Lake Curl, who was the favorite going into that game. And then Round Rock finally kind of was able to kind of punch through, and basically playing kind of in their backyard. So that could be a factor too. Having like, unless the Keller fans can all travel down there, we'll see. Hopefully they do travel well. But Round Rock, like I said, don't have to go too far. I'm sure they've played there in the past. They're at Birkenbach and for like I said, like for Governor's Cup. So this is gonna be a fun one to start off on Saturday. We'll see who gets to finally lift the trophy. Like I said, be the first one to lift one for both of one of the two programs.
Yeah, definitely. I think going to be a fun one, no doubt. I just have a feeling some of these coach were slated for overtime at a minimum, and then we'll see. Like I said, just knock on wood, hoping that the weather cooperates for sure. So, all right, that does it. We move on to our second. Oh, let's try this again. There we go. So our second match of the day, our boys 6A Division 1 matchup, which is slated for Saturday, April 11th, 1:30 p.m. Out of Region 2, Klein Kane, the reigning state champion, versus out of Region 3, our all-Houston final here. Region 3, Humble Atascocita, one of our many Humble squads here. Klein Kane coming in, the reigning state champion, coming in at 18-3-5 versus Atascocita coming in at 25-3. Coach.
Yeah, what are you going to say about Klein Kane? I know in bracketology they were going against that really good Bridgeland team, and like I said, Klein Kane struggled. Not say struggled, but they finished third in their district. And,
yeah, I think they were just playing possum, waiting for the state.
Yeah, and then it really
they've taken it to another level.
Yeah, it didn't look good, and like I said, they were kind of going into it, but I think that what they experienced last year, they kind of, like I said, they've kind of took it up a notch, and here they are. They're ready to defend their state title. Like I said, this is pretty much an all Houston area final. But at Atascocita, they're out too as well. They've beat some giants. Beating that Seven Lakes team, and PKs, and beating a really good Pasadena Adobe team as well. And then knocking off, like I said, Steele in the state semifinals, and this is going to be a great match. I think this is a great matchup. The story that Klein Kane had last year, first time in the playoffs and winning it all, is this an opportunity for them to get that second star on the jersey, or is Cascosita is gonna, like I said, be able to kind of finish off what they started, knocking off some giants, and then knocking off the state champion and winning the first one.
Yeah, this one I think is going to be electric, right? Just in terms of just high level play, the styles for these two definitely I think are definitely going to provide fireworks. I don't know how many goals, right? But definitely some fireworks. Klein Kane style of play, Atascocita definitely has some athletes. I've had a chance to watch them a couple of times now, plus a lot of great input. And then Klein Kane, reigning state champion, trying to make it, Coach Carrasco trying to make it 2 in a row. And I think you look at Klein. I think when you look at Kane's side, I think experience has shown up in this playoff stretch, right? Just calm demeanor, dominant in moments, and just have definitely taken it up another level in the state playoffs. And Atascocita here making the run out of Region 3, setting up an all Houston final. Atascocita, can they handle the moment? And I think because they're definitely more than talented enough, definitely more than capable. All right, very physical as well. Can they handle the moment? I think if they can do that, and come out to a fast start, I think we could be in for a great final here. So, all right, that does it for our boys 6A Division One matchup. We move on. Our third match of the day, slated for Saturday, April 11th, 4 p.m. Out of Region 2, Forney, who comes in at 28-1, as well as out of Region 3, Humble Kingwood, our second Humble squad, 26-0-2, another undefeated squad. Thoughts on this one, Coach?
Like I said, the Houston Dallas matchup here. What are you gonna say about Forney? I know you've been high on Forney, this year. I know last year they had a great season, but this year I guess you can call it the year of the rabbit, because I think it's their opportunity here to win the state title. But they got a tough task that Kingwood team is gonna bring it, and this could be another sleeper game here too. And I think this could go to also to extra time. But I think Forney is really, like I said, their journey to get to this point. It's kind of has been spectacular, and um, I think this, like I said, it's a golden opportunity, I guess, for both programs. But Forney, I think, like I said, does have kind of a little edge on this, because they've kind of been riding high with a lot of the quality wins they've had in the playoffs. And but this going to be a fun one there Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, you know this. I've been high on Forney since tail end of last year, right? So was not shocked when they came out the way they did this year, and just a very, very, very fun squad to watch play, right? The way Coach Williamson has them, coaches them, has them trained, and they move the ball so well. They play and high press, probably one of the best high presses that you'll see at this level. And if you watch them play in that that state semifinal that we referenced earlier versus South Lake Carroll, there was some pretty phenomenal play going both ways in that one. And then you got Humble Kingwood, who's an undefeated Humble Kingwood squad, who is just not getting talked about enough, right? Setting up, here we are, another Houston DFW final. But I just feel different I just feel this Forney squad is different, right? I've been saying it all year. I feel like they're on a mission. I feel now the big thing is, do they get caught in the trap, the letdown, the emotional letdown after such a big win versus South Lake Carroll, right? Slaying the dragon, no pun intended. But now, right, how do they respond with this much, right? Basically a week, right? They have a full week, right, from their last match, the state semifinal to the final, right? Handling the emotions, the highs, the lows, the training, and they got a lot of great players. They got that's still shot. Alarmingly, that's a young Forney squad as well. So, and Kingwood, I think, same thing, right? I feel like the pressure isn't really on them, right? More so on Forney. But I feel like we're going to be in store for a great final here. Our third match of the day, our Girls 6A Division 2 final. So, all right, that does it for our third match, and we move on to what will be our nightcap, our final match of day 3, Saturday, April 11th, and what will be the final match of the 2025-2026 season. I think it's going to be a great one here. We have out of Region 2, College Park, or Woodlands College Park, Conroe Woodlands College Park, whatever. I kind of always hear both of those, so never quite sure which one to call them. But College Park, 18-3-3 versus Humble Summer Creek, our third Humble squad here, coming in at 22-6. This one slated for, again, our final match of championship weekend, Saturday, April 11th at approximately 6:30 p.m. Coach, thoughts?
So another all Houston kind of area final here. Great season for college, right? Normally the Woodlands, their sister school, usually you would kind of expect them to be here at, in the state semifinals or in the finals, but this is their first appearance here. I'm sure they're very excited about it. Great opportunity for them. But then also you have that Summer Creek program, and like I said, we had their coach last week, and I know they had us on the bulletin board, and I think that's motivated them. And here they are. Can they deliver here? Is it that bulletin board effect? They might have to put it on there. So more motivation for Saturday night. But I think this is going to be a fun one. I think you do need a favor. I think Summer Creek on this one. Just kind of like I said, the teams that they've beaten and so forth, but not to put anything bad on College Park, because they've had actually beaten some great teams too. But I think Summer Creek's kind of been riding high, and they're ready to go, and like I said, but it's going to be a fun one. And like I said, hopefully the weather just holds up, and doesn't affect too much. But I think it's going to be a
Mhm.
really good game.
Yeah, the bulletin board that you guys provided, not me, you guys, right? So, no, I'm just kidding. But hey, I'm just saying, right? Coach O'Quinn, you came on the podcast, and look at you go on a run. So that 50-50 pot effect is real. I'm just saying. So, but yeah, I mean, they look. I don't know, man. You look at Summer Creek. I really like them going into right when they were going into that regional that regional semifinal, that regional final, but they just feel like they look like they've unlocked something, like in terms of confidence, like they've found like they're now starting to really believe they're a fun group to watch. They're well coached, very fun to watch their style of play, but now they just seem like it's like, oh my god, like we're like they're really believing in themselves in terms of we really do belong here. We really can play at this level. And then College Park, who, and you're right? So much of the talk is typically the Woodlands, right? So them arriving, them being here, how will they handle the moment, right? So how will both these squads handle the moment, right? As well as the nightcap, right? The final match of the season. And then, hopefully weather's not a factor. Hopefully the match starts relatively on time. It doesn't start too late, isn't delayed too much in terms of previous matches. So the psyche, the mindset, the mentality, I think both squads very well coached. I think we'll be in store for a great, great final. So,
And this is actually a rematch too of a game in the early in the season which they tied. So they are familiar with each other. So
correct, yeah. And I think did Coach O'Quinn mention that? I don't know
I think he did mention that.
I know he talked about he
There's a
mentioned
possibility.
Vandegrift in the semi, but
Yeah.
yeah. So, all right, and that does it. That wraps up our final match, our full slate, our preview of our state finals. And one additional thing that we did want to add here, Coach, is so our breakdown, right? Our regional breakdown of our teams who have made it to state finals. This one people always love to discuss this one. So, excuse me. So we put this one up. And our regional breakdown in terms of number of teams representing respective regions. Last year, this one was, I think it was dominant. Region 2 and Region 4 had 7 squads last year. Whereas this year, Region 2 goes up 1, Region 4 has 3 less, and then you have Region 3 who goes up quite a bit. I think they go from 5 to 8, if I'm not, it was either 4 or 5, so they go to 8 this year. Region 1 staying steady, going down 1, I believe, from 5 last year to 4 this year. Anything stand out to you on this one, Coach?
I think you've seen the resurgence of the Houston area soccer teams really kind of coming back. I know in the past has been, the Dallas area, pretty much Region 1, and then part of Region 2 because they cut into it. But you're starting to see, like I said, you have two all Houston finals, you know, coming up here this week, and I think they've kind of, they took a little back step towards Dallas. Now they're kind of, like I said, I think they're closing the gap so far, and then things are starting maybe to kind of balance out a bit too as far as with the talent wise. But it's great to see, like I said, Houston bounce in the Houston area kind of bounce back and get some teams in the final.
Yeah. Region 2, Region 3, right? Very heavy going head to head quite a bit. So yeah, and you're right. You talk about the resurgence of Houston. We also talk about, can't ignore the D1, D2 split and how that's affected the size of certain schools defaulting into a D2 status, right? So all of these are factors, but doesn't take anything away from any team that's here because one, they've earned the right to be here, and two, got to take care of business. Got to settle it on the field, right? You can argue enrollments all day. You can argue division splits all day, but it's still got to get done. You still got to play the opponent in front of you. So I know it's a lot of coach speak, but it's true. It really is true. So, and that does it. As we start to wrap up, we look at our state finals preview and a lot of great info there. Coach, that pretty much does it, man. Thoughts on today, thoughts on our guests, thoughts on everything we covered, anything as we prepare for our state finals?
I think since the inception of what they did last year with the changes of the playoffs and state finals, like I said, you're still seeing great matchups, and then now having the time to rest and prepare, you like you saw last year, you had great quality games. You're gonna have them again. Like I said, you got some quality teams, a lot of first timers too. Like, we got a lot of first timers last year. This year we're gonna see this year as well. So we are gonna see some new champions, and some have opportunities to repeat too as well. One of them's going, like, it's like Klein Kane trying to defend their state title. You look at Solano trying to get the fifth one, which is unprecedented. No one's I don't think anyone's done that. I think not even in football. I think it hasn't really done that. Maybe six man, but and
Yeah.
so it's like I said, it's an opportunity, but also like I said, there's some great matchups coming up too. I think there's some very interesting games, different styles of play, and that I think that's going to be the key. How do they match with each other, the styles of
Right.
play, but also with coaching too. Who can get the best game plan and execute it. That's going to be the key, and who can make those right adjustments in the second half to finish the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so true, so true. I always mention it. This time of the year, styles make fights, right? Styles make the matchups, and then the adjustments, right? Who can make the adjustments quicker, right? In real time, quicker. And then these very much a game of phases, right? Whether you want to look at it in 10-minute increments or you want to look at it in 20-minute increments each half, but how matches. Here's something I really want to urge everybody to watch when you're watching these finals this weekend is what are they like the first 20 minutes and what are they like the last 20 minutes, right? Because I think that's what's going to tell us a lot, right? So yeah, that's what I'm curious. That's one of the many things I'll be watching there. Yeah, one of the things I got to mention before I forget, excuse me, make sure you thank you to all of our listeners being listened to, over 500 strong across all of our platforms, across the state of Texas, and even multiple states, and even across the pond in Europe. So thank you for all of our listeners. Make sure you like, rate, subscribe. You can listen to us. You can follow us on Twitter X, Twix as we call it, at 50_50pod, on Instagram at 50_50 podcast, as well as on YouTube at the 50_50 podcast. Thank you to all of our new subscribers that have gone on there on our YouTube channel, our channel that we're really trying to grow. And for our new subscribers, I cannot tell you, here's the data that we know. We know that about almost 45% of our listeners, that listen on YouTube, they're not subscribed, but they're dedicated listeners, but they're not subscribed, and I don't know why. Just primarily because I don't know if they just forget to hit the subscribe button. So that's why so many of you have started to do that. So thank you. So hit the subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything. And then hit that live bell notification and you won't miss a thing that we do. Since, as we always say, 99.9% of everything we do is live. You'll be sure to catch everything. You'll receive the notification and whatever nonsense that we're putting up that day, whether it's Inside Texas High School Soccer or if it's the 50/50 podcast, you'll be sure to be able to catch it and watch it. So thank you to all of our listeners, all our faithful supporters. Really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much as we start to wrap up the tail end of season 6 Inside Texas High School Soccer. So, Coach, it's that time, stoppage time. Thoughts, shout outs, thank yous. The floor is yours. What do you got?
I just want to wish everybody a happy Easter. Like I said, to everyone out there, like I said, just happy Easter to my family and your family and everyone's family out there. And just looking forward to these 3 days of state championship games. They're interesting matchups, some great, storylines going into these games and stuff. And just to the players, to get to this point, be proud of it, whether you win or lose. You're one of the few teams that get to get here, and it's tough to get here, and especially to win one. And like I said, I was kind of, for the club side, I was lucky to win one myself. But here in high school, like I said, it's tough. You're part of that, a small percentage to be able to lift that trophy. But whether you win, lose, like I said, just be proud of the moment because it's something to look back on, especially for the seniors. And because just be proud of yourselves, and then hopefully we have a big turnout there with the fans. pack the stands. Like I said, 4A showed up last year, so I expect 5A and 6A to kind of see can they top that, and hopefully the weather does hold up, but like it's a we'll see what happens there, but it should be a fun one to come in here in Georgetown.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Definitely looking forward to it. Excited. My final thoughts. Excuse me. Sorry. Excuse me. My final thoughts. So yeah, definitely want to mention. So we will be returning to state their Birkelbach to be able to cover. Looking forward to it. If you see me, you see us there, be running around both on the field, in the stands, in the press box. Definitely come say hi, and definitely want to talk to whether you're a player, whether you're a parent. If you have a complaint, though, if you're a parent or a player, send those to Rafa, not me. Okay, so no, I'm just kidding. No, but definitely come say hi. And if you're a coach, absolutely come say hi, because want to talk with coaches, want to get input from whatever region you may be, whatever district you may be, whatever classification you may be, any way that we can help you in. Because I know there's a lot of things kind of going on behind the scenes in terms of our sport right now. A lot of different discussions, a lot of things being worked on, and I can tell you this, that your coaching organization in Tasco is working behind the scenes on a lot of things to try to make things better for coaches, make things better for our sport. They may not be out in the limelight, out in the spotlight, but I promise you that the great people that are comprised of Tasco and the great leadership that that lead Tasco are definitely putting in the work behind the scenes. Just because you don't see it, just because you don't hear about it necessarily, doesn't mean it isn't happening. But nevertheless, see it state. Looking forward to covering it. Looking forward to see our sport on full display. Looking forward to seeing our sport shine. And Rafa did hit on it, right? So first and foremost, good luck, and want to make sure that all our players, all our coaches arrive safely, compete with honor, compete safely, and leave and arrive back home safely. But yeah, definitely good luck. Wishing everybody the best of luck. But we want, we can only have so many champions. Obviously, not everybody can win, but we want our sport to win this coming weekend, right? We want it to be on full display. And when we say our sport, we're talking about the teams competing, the quality of play, obviously the officiating of the game being consistent. That's a big part of the game. That's the third piece. The people in the stands as well, right? Our supporters, our spectators show up, as Rafa mentioned, get out there. It's nothing like watching it there, right? Birkelbach's a pretty special place. And then Coach Venegas, the ISD, athletic director out of Georgetown ISD as well, and their staff, they do a fantastic job in terms of hosting that event and all the logistics that go behind that and coordinating with the UIL. The UIL does a great job, so much stuff behind the scenes as well. So definitely looking forward to all of that. So definitely say hi. Please come say hi. Would love to talk with each and every one of you guys because that's part of our job. It's part of why we do this. So you all will always be the reason why we continue to do it. So it doesn't matter if you're a parent, doesn't matter if you're a player, and especially if you're a coach, obviously. So good luck. Show up. Definitely show up and support your squad, or maybe it's a squad that your friend plays for. And then the only other thing, something I mentioned last week is we are in the works. Be on the lookout as we will start marketing soon. We're going to have a new show, a show that's going to come out over the summer, chronicling the U.S. men's national team as well as just the coverage of the Summer World Cup, and it could be some live viewing events. It could be watch. What do they call them again? The
watch parties.
Watch parties, right, or whatever, or as well as just coverage, right? We're working on a panel of guests that'll comprise of this. And again, chronicling everything U.S. men's national team. I mean, after the way they played last week, it could be an early exit. Who knows? But we'll see. That's how it goes. Sometimes teams they kind of look like garbage in some of these quote unquote friendlies, and then they kind of put it together. I'd rather have the humbling now, right, versus in the World Cup. But we'll see. We'll see. Some things add up, some things don't. But we'll see. But yeah, be on the lookout for that. But get on there, follow us, subscribe. And that one is very much designed to be very interactive with you all, just like everything we do, but very much so. It's a special opportunity to have a special show. And whenever you have a World Cup summer is always special, but when you have a World Cup summer in your own country, that makes it very, very, very extra special. So that is going to do it. Rafa, any final reattacks? Anything else?
Just like I said, just looking forward to these last few games. It's been a great season. Like I said, it's gone really fast because I know we started back in late,
November.
late November, and we're at this point again. And should be some fun, like I said, some fun and entertaining soccer, and just it's a way to finish strong. And like I said, I can't say it again. Good luck to all the teams out there. Be safe on the roads too. Like I said, especially if the weather doesn't hold up, just be careful. And that no rush to get there. You'll get there anyways. And may the best team win, to the strong. Like I said, to the strongest. May the best teams win.
Yeah, well said. Absolutely. Well said. Wishing you guys all the best. Thank you again for our over, 515 strong, 16 strong, joining us across all platforms, I should say. Thank you again. Again, as well, go on there, our audio podcast, right? Whatever your preferred podcast platform may be, go on there, give us a review, and hit that subscribe button, right? So you can follow us, and you won't miss anything. Maybe you're in the car, maybe you're on the trip to Georgetown, you're on the trip coming back from Georgetown. One of the things that I did want to mention as well is Rafa and I will have to coordinate this. We'll see, since I'll be covering it there in Georgetown, but we are looking at possibly bringing you guys live coverage of Thursday and Friday's games. Not sure. Does SAFC play at home Saturday?
Yes. So we'll probably wait till Sunday.
Yeah, so Rafa doesn't care about Texas high school soccer when SAFC plays. So,
SG duties. So
who do they play again?
I believe I think it's Birmingham. I believe. Hold on.
Oh my God, you call yourself?
I know they play. They play actually Wednesday against Orange County. So
is it a 7:30 kickoff?
7:30 in California time, but 9:30 over here in Texas.
They're playing in California.
Yeah, they're in California. They play Monterey Bay.
They tied. No, I thought it was a home game. I was talking about a home game.
The home game for Saturday is against that nemesis Miami FC, which we've had.
They do play. So this coming Saturday, they do play at home.
Yeah. So Wednesday they have a game at Orange County in California at 9 p.m.
The Open Cup.
No, that's actually a regular season game.
That's just a regular league match. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Oh. And then they're here on the 11th to play against Miami FC, who they've been a thorn on our side the last few years, especially here in San Antonio. Yeah. Hopefully, Emosa gets them going. Even though I don't know how you get 65% of the position and have 0 shots on goal. I don't know how you do that.
Don't open up that can of worms.
So, you'll hear that probably tomorrow with Harry. So Harry probably be complaining about that tomorrow. Harry, right? So yeah, if you like SAFC, well, I think hopefully we'll have a fan cast show hopefully tomorrow.
Yeah. Any more roundtable? Any more roundtable?
We may do. I might ask maybe Harry about maybe doing one. Maybe I'm gonna ask maybe we can do one on Wednesday. Kind of showcase our area teams. Like I said, like go over the Piper game, go over Wimberley, go over kind of give our take on that, and then kind of look back on some of the teams. Give some props to, great seasons for like Steel, great season for Southwest Legacy. Right. Kind of talk about that as well, and then also the realignment too. So we'll probably discuss that.
Yeah, Harry's too busy watching Real Madrid games, man. Real Madrid matches. So yeah, don't leave him alone. So
he's got one on Tuesday night against Bayern.
I know. It's gonna be a tough one. So again, special thanks to our guests today, to our coaches and Coach Ghost and Coach Adkins. Really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for your accessibility and just great interviews, great content. Thank you so much. So that is going to do it. We're going to get out of here because we're coming up on Joe Rogan status. We're at just under an hour and 50 minutes. So to all our listeners, all our supporters, everybody, parents, administrators, our student athletes, our coaches, everybody, you all continue to be the reason why we do it. About the people and for the people. We always say that. So thank you so much for your support. Get out there, go watch State, and if you can't make it out there, definitely jump on what I think is going to be NFHS Network carrying it. Jump on there, and tag us on any info, any thoughts on matches, and if you're one of these teams playing in the state finals, right, and no matter what you put out there, whether it goes your way or it doesn't go your way, tag us on your content. We've been using the Texas High School, the TXHSSOC. hashtag, as well as the Road to Birkelbach and second season hashtag. So tag us on there, and we'd love to share your content. Really appreciate you guys. So that is going to do it. So for my sidekick in Rafa Castorena, I am your host, Coach Hector Cano. Until the next time, you know what to do. Thank you so much. You know what to do. Keep downloading and keep listening. You've been listening to the 50/50 Podcast, powered by the 50/50 Podcast Network. Help us continue to grow by liking, rating, and subscribing on all major podcast platforms. And don't forget to follow us on X at 50_50 pod, on Instagram at 50_50 podcast, as well as on YouTube at the 50_50 podcast. Until the next time, keep downloading